What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the video. I hope you're having a fantastic day. So Kia has sent a whole bunch of automotive journalists out here to Austin, Texas to test drive the all-new 2025 Kia K4. This one you see right here is the Kia K4 GT line, and they're having us test drive both the GT line and the GT line Turbo. So in this video, we're gonna go over the features and the driving dynamics of both cars. So real quick, let's go over the two engine choices. First, we have the non-turbo GT line. This is a 2-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder engine, putting out 147 horsepower, 132 pound-feet of torque. And this one is paired with a CVT. And fuel economy ratings are combined 34 miles per gallon. That's 30 in the city and 40 on the highway. And now this engine right here is the one in the GT line Turbo. So this right here is a 1.6 liter turbo 4-cylinder, and this puts out 190 horsepower, 195 pound-feet of torque. And this one, unlike the non-turbo, has an 8-speed automatic transmission instead of the CVT. Now, even though this isn't necessarily a sports car, let's start it up, take a listen to the exhaust. And the fuel tank capacity of both cars is 12.4 gallons. So now let's take a look here at the front end of the K4. So this here is a new version of Kia's Tiger Nose grille. It's a lot slimmer than it's been before. Along the top, we have a nice satin silver finish. This overall has a very premium design, especially with all the gloss black accents that they use instead of flat black. This lower portion of the grille right here is all gloss black, and it's also very open to allow air to go inside. This right here, though, is kind of like a fake vent. It is flat black. That's really the only spot where you see it. There is no opening there. There's no air curtain or anything like that. But overall, I think the bottom of this looks pretty damn sharp. Now, I think the best looking thing on this car are the new headlights. So as you can see on the headlights, you have 3 LED lighting elements that are stacked vertical. And now the daytime running light and turn signal is really sharp. It goes across and down as well. And the amber color is for both the turn signal and the daytime running light as well. So we have amber daytime running lights, makes the car look very distinguishable. The main difference is going to be the headlights. Instead of having the 3 stacked lighting elements on the inside, you see you have the one big projector beam up at the top, and then down below you have all these smaller square lighting elements. Now these elements that are inside here remind me a lot of the newer Genesis headlights, which makes sense since Genesis and Kia are related. But you have the same turn signal and daytime running light, that nice amber color, and that is a very bright LED. This up top here is your low beam, and then these smaller squares at the bottom, those are your high beam. Now taking a look here at the wheels, this is an 18-inch wheel, 2-tone gloss black with a machine finished aluminum alloy. It's a very intricate design, very interesting design, but I like it. The finish on the wheels is going to be the only difference. The wheel design is pretty much identical. It's just fully gloss black instead of the mix of machined aluminum and gloss black that is on the non-turbo. And this is riding on Kumho Majesty all-season tires. The size is 235/40. In terms of body lines, they didn't do anything super crazy. You have this soft one that kind of starts here, turns into a crease and blends back in there. You have one also here that starts rounded out and then turns into the crease and goes back into the taillight. The window trim at the bottom is more of that satin silver finish. Gloss black along the top, looks very premium. And that gloss black on the bottom and the front continues to the side up around the wheel arch and all the way across the bottom and to the rear. And another really nice high-end touch right here is the mirrors. We have the satin silver along the bottom that looks really high-end, gloss black on the mirror cap, as well as LED turn signals integrated right there into the mirror cap. Kia's designers also decided to hide the door handle for the rear up into the pillar. Now this here I think is a pretty unique design element, the way that the window kind of comes squared off right here to a point right here where it meets the rear glass. So this is very untraditional. This is different, but I don't know. Tell me what you think, guys. Do you like it? Do you not? I gotta give it some time, but we'll see. Now this has a fastback design where it kind of looks like a hatchback in the rear, but this is a sedan. There is going to be a K4 hatchback coming later in 2025, but for now we just have the sedan. But the shape of the rear is very hatchback-like, and they kind of created this illusion here with the glass. Even though the glass ends here, they made this portion here a painted gloss black finish so that it kind of blends in with the glass, so it makes the glass appear bigger than it really is, but don't be fooled, it's still a sedan. Now things get really interesting in the rear. So the shape of the taillights are very similar to the headlights. So as we can see here, comes down and then almost all the way across. Doesn't come quite all the way. So even though the housing comes all the way across, the lights don't. But the lights, they come out and down. Now the taillight itself is LED, but the brake lights and the turn signals are incandescent bulbs. They did add some details inside of it to make it pop a bit more, but I think probably these turn signals should be LED. The whole rest of the car looks so premium, but this kind of just feels like it was left out, you know? And finally, the only other difference is here in the rear on the taillights. These are full LED, brake light, tail light, and turn signal, as opposed to the combination on the non-turbo model. And to make it more interesting, they added these points at edges and stuff, and I think it looks nice. 2 integrated reflectors. We have the license plate down in the bumper, and your reverse light is down at the very bottom. Your trunk release button is right here. Now this is a sedan, but it does have a very spacious trunk. 60-40 split. And underneath the floor, we do get a spare tire and a jack set. We also have a recovery, that's a recovery tow hook right there. So there's not really much to expect from a trunk in a compact sedan, but certainly adequate. The best indicator of build quality, how does the door sound when you close it? Sounds nice and solid. All right, so as I always do, let's start up on the dash. Soft touch material lining the top. Up in the front here, you do get something harder in the back, but that's to be expected. So soft all the way up here. Soft touch, not necessarily the softest underneath that, but it is a nice texture up top. Got an interesting design pattern here. This is a plastic component right here. This adopts that trendy kind of illusion of one air vent going across. It's kind of one continuous line from over here to the passenger side. This portion right here has a glossy dark gray finish that I think will hide fingerprints a lot better than glossy black. So I think that was a better choice than gloss black. Over here on the door panel, same soft touch as the dash. It comes all the way down to here. The armrest and the middle portion of the door are made of Syntex. That is what Kia calls their leatherette material. It's called Syntex. Nice padding on the armrest and on the door panel as well. Nice metallic finish on the door handle. Not made of metal, of course. It is plastic, but nice finish on there. You have your controls for your heated and ventilated seats, as well as 2 memory settings for the driver. And down below, with this being a non-luxury compact sedan, hard plastic, but that's nothing out of the ordinary. And down here is the speaker grill for the Harman Kardon audio system that we will talk about in the driving portion of this video later on. These really nice aluminum pedals down below. Now let's take a look here at the seats. So just like on the door panel, this is what Kia calls Syntex. This is their leatherette material, but honestly, you'd be hard pressed to try to tell the difference between this and real leather. It feels just like real leather. And the 2-tone colorway definitely makes it look a lot more high-end. Nice headrest up there. GT line is embossed into the top of the seat right here. But as you can see, fully perforated seating surface, heated and ventilated seats, 10-way power adjustable for the driver. Passenger does get a manually adjusting seat, but you do get the power on the drivers. Really nice new steering wheel design, head and shoulders above the old Kia Forte. Shape is really interesting too. We have a flat bottom and flat top. It's also very thick bolsters up top, and there's a bit of a bolster down below too. I especially like the 2-tone colorway. Now the white is showing a little bit of dirt, so you will need to keep that clean, but really nice stitching on the inside of the wheel. They did move the Kia badge off-center to the right. They made it a bit smaller. I think it's a cleaner look. So even though it's a little odd being off to the side, I kind of like it. Silver paddle shifters on the back of the wheel. Now, as far as the controls here, this is for your adaptive cruise control, distance setting, lane keep assist, This is for the digital gauge display, and then this controls the speed for the adaptive cruise control. Over here, you have your phone button, your favorites, fast forward and rewind, and volume for your audio, voice command, and when you hit mode, it goes through the different audio sources. Now, when looking here at the screen, it is absolutely massive going across. It's really 3 screens in one. You have a 12.3-inch digital gauge cluster, a 12.3-inch infotainment, and then right in the middle of those is a screen for your climate controls. That's always there, so that is something that is very convenient to have. The climate control buttons down here are limited in functionality, but the rest of it is all right here. So you have dual zone climate in the front, you have your different zones, of course your defrosters, recirculate. So that's all right there in the middle. Now back to the digital gauge cluster, it does show you dials. So you have your speedometer off to the left, your tachometer off to the right, and then in the center, it can show your trip computer, your compass, and also distance for your adaptive cruise control. And it can show your tire pressure as well. Something that Kia and Hyundai have been doing for a long time is having these physical buttons underneath the screen. Home, your navigation, search, media, favorites, and setup that takes you directly to the settings. Volume knob right here is this scroll wheel. So here we have a 12.3-inch infotainment touchscreen. Of course, it's got wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, but there's so many more things you can do with this. You can record voice memos, it can show your weather, you have your valet mode, sports. Under vehicle diagnostics, it can show you information on your airbags, your tire pressure monitoring system, braking, engine management, transmission control, and power steering. This also has AI integration with the owner's manual where you can actually ask it questions about the manual instead of fumbling through your glove box to look for it and flip through a million pages just to find it. Also on here, it has a swipe down control panel just like a smartphone where there's quick settings here that you can do, like the brightness, which that's a great thing to have. That's just like a phone. You got your navigation volume, so that's nice to have just right there. You can mute it. I always like to keep my navigation on mute. I don't like her talking to me. You can also have it do things for you too, similar to like BMW's assistant that they have on their cars. So the infotainment has gotten very high tech in this new Kia K4. A lot of features that you don't typically see from a car at this price point. And something here you can only get on the GT Line Turbo, multicolor ambient lighting. So it's underneath the top of the dashboard on this side as well as on the driver's side as well. Now down here, as far as connections go, 2 USB-C ports. Behind here, we have a 12-volt outlet and, of course, a wireless charger. Wireless charging comes standard on all trim levels of the K4, just like wireless CarPlay. 2 go hand in hand. Having one without the other is kind of pointless, but they put them both together, so good job. Down on the console, engine start-stop button. You have your transmission selector here, wrapped in leatherette with nice stitching, so that's nice. You have your button for your 360 camera. Resolution is quite clear for a car of this price. Then you also have your backup camera, also paired with the 360, so you can see both views. And then you have the 3D model, which shows the surroundings pretty accurately. It's not overly distorted like some other cars do, and I think it looks good. You can customize it with your trajectory lines and everything. A few different views, so that is a really nice camera system to have. Now the cup holders, very interesting. They look huge, and it's like that so it can accommodate bigger bottles. But what if you have a smaller bottle that's just moving around like crazy like that? Boom. Same on this side. Boom. They got you covered. So you can have it set for a small bottle or a big one. Now, as far as storage space goes, inside the center console, it's like an average size, but nothing huge, and there's nothing. It is lined with not felt, but fabric at the bottom, so it's not just scratchy plastic. So that's good. And then in the glove box, it's a pretty standard size glove box too. So adequate storage. All right, so now I am in the back. So in this new K4, Kia is boasting best-in-class rear legroom. So I am 6 feet tall. I have the front seat adjusted for myself right where I would have it to drive. And as you can see, they might not be kidding. I have probably about 4 inches of legroom between my knees and the back of the seat. I got room to put my feet out a bit further. I can even cross my leg back here. That's pretty impressive. In a compact sedan, remember, compact. Down below, they have passengers covered with 2 air vents and 2 USB-C ports, a small storage pocket right there. Now, as far as the storage in the back goes, there's only 1 pocket. It's on the passenger side, so no pocket over here, and it's that like fishnet style. Not really a fan of that because there's certain things you can't put back here. We typically see non-luxury compact sedans get a little bit cheap in the back, and that is true here. That soft touch upper that we get in the front back here is just hard plastic, but you do get the Syntex on the armrest and on the side of the door panel. Now this is just a very small detail, but the LED lighting in the back with this gloss black surround, it actually looks very high end, so, and modern. You usually get like an incandescent bulb back here, looks old school, but this looks nice. And so now we're gonna take this Kia K4 GT line out for a drive. All right, so first thing, let's talk about the ride quality. There is a bit of road noise coming into the cabin, but it's not excessively loud. I think it's acceptable for both the segment and the price point. There is a tiny bit of wind noise, but I'd say less wind noise than some other vehicles in the segment that I've driven. Now I have it in sport mode. We'll do a quick little acceleration test. Now, this being the regular GT line non-turbo, this has the CVT, and I have to say, does a really good job at simulating gears. When Kia was telling us about the car before driving it, they were emphasizing the programming of the CVT transmission and how they have tuned the software to make it feel just like a traditional automatic. And I have to say, on hard acceleration like that, it does feel a lot like an automatic. But at lower speeds, when you're coming up to speed, it still has that typical droney noise that CVTs have. But once you hit those higher RPMs, it does feel like it's shifting like an automatic. And you do get a bit more of the wind noise on highway speeds. Now, when going through the drive modes here on the non-turbo GT line, buttons right here at the bottom of the steering wheel. The GT line, 2 drive modes, that's it. You have normal and you have sport. There is a significant difference in the tightness of the steering between normal and sport. The steering is incredibly light in normal mode. I think a bit lighter than I like it personally, but sport mode, it's like significantly tighter. So this has good weight, good feedback. So the difference is very drastic. In normal mode, it's very loose, which I don't like, but in sport mode, it becomes very tight, which I do like a lot. Now, another key difference between the 2 drive modes, especially at lower speeds, is where the idle sits. So right now I'm off the gas in normal mode. You can see it holds the RPMs right around between like 1300, 1500, but as soon as I put it into sport, again, didn't touch the pedal, immediately it just jumped up to like 2200 RPM. So it holds the RPMs higher and it's able to more quickly take in input from the gas pedal to accelerate faster in sport mode. I also like the way the gauges turn red when you're in sport too. But also paired with that change in the RPMs, you do get a significant amount more engine noise too. Now this GT line, even though it's a CVT, it does come with paddle shifters. So we're gonna test out the paddle shifters in both drive modes. So we're gonna start with normal. Okay, I'm in normal. I'm gonna come to a stop. Yeah, it's a little bit downhill, but this is just for demonstration purposes. All right. Second, third, fourth. So yeah, it does in normal too. It does a good job at simulating the gear shifts. When you're not using the paddle shifters, there is more of a difference between the two modes where you don't really get that level of simulated shifting in normal mode without doing it manually. But now we're gonna put it in sport. So yeah, using the paddles, it does make you feel a little bit more in control, but does it actually equate to quicker acceleration? Hard to tell, not gonna lie. But I think it does enhance the user experience. But despite this only having 147 horsepower, it's still relatively engaging. So now we're gonna test out the adaptive cruise control. Real simple, this button right here on the top left of the steering wheel sets your speed, and make sure you have your lane keep assist on with it. Okay, I have it set at 60 miles per hour with lane keep assist on. So we have a slight bend coming up here. Okay, it's reading the lines, keeping me perfectly centered in the lane, but after a while it will give you the alert to keep your hands on the wheel. This isn't meant for autonomous driving, so it wants to make sure that you are still paying attention. So now I'm inside the GT Line Turbo, and we are going to test out the differences in acceleration between this and the non-turbo. I have it in sport mode, so now going from a stop. Okay, let's put it down. A little bit of wheel spin there. There's a little bit of a delay where the torque kicks in off the line, but once it does cause the wheels to spin just a little bit. You can feel the exact moment that the torque kicks in. I'd say it's somewhere between 3,000 and 4,000 RPM, and that's where the wheel spin actually took place there. It wasn't just off the line. So you do get that typical turbo lag right off the jump, but then it quickly picks up after. Now I'm gonna throw it in normal and give it a push. It's not as aggressive in normal, but still very responsive. I believe 0 to 60 on the turbo is rated at right around 7 seconds, which sounds about right. This engine does like to rev, even at lower speeds, lower RPMs. So it does have a very sporty nature to it, and it sounds a hell of a lot better than the 2-liter, that is for sure. Now with the paddles, it definitely feels better with the paddles. The automatic transmission, I don't think it shifts exactly as quick as I would like it to, but having the paddle shifters definitely gives you a bit more control and I guess just more comfortability in being able to shift exactly when you want to. To me, the power delivery feels a bit more stable when using paddle shifters as opposed to just letting the tach go to red line and then shift. But nonetheless, it's still a very responsive transmission as well. Now this GT line has the optional 8-speaker Harman Kardon premium audio system. So let's just relax, put our feet up, we meaning you, not me, and let's take a listen to the audio system. Let's talk about it. Great clarity on the mid and high range frequencies. The bass, for the most part, is nice and balanced, not too overpowering. But I did notice on like a few specific songs, at higher volumes, there is some distortion in the lower frequencies of the bass. One song in particular that I noticed that on, Shake the Room by Pop Smoke. Now, I can only play maybe a 2-second clip of it because I don't want YouTube to give me a copyright strike, but I just want to demonstrate what I'm talking about. Now, you hear in that one particular note on the 808 in the bass how it sounds like it's getting louder right in the middle of the note, almost like two different notes. That's not the way it's supposed to sound. So something weird is going on where either the attack, the downbeat of the bass is getting suppressed and then coming up to full volume, or just something in the waveform is just getting blasted in the middle of the note. But that's just one odd thing that I noticed. If you're an audiophile, I guess maybe something to keep in mind. So that is going to wrap up my day here with the all-new 2025 Kia K4. Huge thank you to Kia for inviting me to this event, along with all these other journalists, some of them that are some of my favorite creators that I've been watching for 10 plus years. I never thought in a million years I'd be working alongside them and to meet them and get to know them. So this has been a first of this kind of experience for me. Very grateful, and I'm very excited for more of what's to come in the future. If you enjoyed this video, please share with a friend and subscribe. It'll really help the channel grow. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss any new videos. Let me know down in the comments what other vehicles you want to see on the channel next, and be sure to follow @OpticalAutomotive on TikTok and Instagram, and check out the page on Facebook. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys later.